Hello, Dinara.
Hi, James.
Excellent. So this is the next episode, and today we're going to be looking at the section where we have to, where it's a multiple choice with a paragraph, and we've got to put the right words into the right places. So let's get started. So it says here, Henry Thompson, a writer, built a hut on the shore of the pond and lived there all alone for 2 years. He did this for 2 reasons, because he wanted to. And then the options we've got are prove, ensure, agree, or secure. So I would say prove, because it sounds like the prove that people spend too much time and money on food and clothes, and because he wanted a perfectly quiet chance to write more books. So I would say in that context that prove is the best option to go for. So prove is the best one. Okay. Then the next ones that we've got is, so I'll carry on reading. To the writer, and so this is, and then the options we have are according, regarding, including, or concerning. So he spent, and it says afterwards, he spent only $100 a year while he lived in this hut. Definitely according, because that's a way of saying in the writer's opinion, you know, so according to the writer, it's a way of saying writer's opinion.
Would you do this kind of this type of life?
Yeah, I think if I had internet access, because then I could keep working. Then yeah, I could definitely see myself doing that. What do you think?
Yeah, the same. It's my dream.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think living completely alone for 2 years would be very difficult. So I would need, at a bare minimum, I would need a cat or a dog there, I think. So I've got someone, so I've got some actual company, but I think that's my only requirement. I think it would be great. And I you know, personally, I quite like writing. So I think it would be a good place to get away from all the distractions and then start writing, you know, start writing more. So I could see myself doing that, definitely. But it's not for everybody, of course. So yeah, so, but that will be according to, and we'll carry on. So he spent only $100 a year while he lived in the hut. That's, well, it depends when it was, but that's impressive as well. He raised beans on his land, ate wild berries, caught fish, and went visiting his friends and neighbors now and then. To buy his woodsman's clothes and a few necessities, he planted gardens, painted houses, and cut wood for his friends. This period influenced Henry's creative work a lot. He wrote a book called The Wood, which us all about these 700 or 800 days he lived in his hut. So let's have a look. Which us all about these 700 or 800 days he lived in his hut. I would say, and the options you've got are speaks, tells, says, or talks. Tells us. Okay. So, and one little thing that I think is a good way to remember this is that you can have the object pronoun follow tell. You know, there are certain other ones, you know, so advise is another one, for example, you know, as in, so that's another example that you can also use. But the other ones you just can't say without using to. So you can't say speaks me, speaks us, says us, you know, as it says or talks us. That doesn't make sense. So it has to be tells in that context.
So tells whom and says to whom, right?
Yes, exactly. That's correct. Yeah. So, and it's the same with the other ones as well. So, so that's a good little trick to remember. Several other books also describe the time when he to live all by himself. So several other books also describe the time when he to live all by himself. Let's have a look at the options. So then the options we've got are used, made, kept, held. So it's definitely, because we're talking about a former habit that he had, it would have to be used. So when he used to live all by himself. And that's an interesting one, actually, is that it's written exactly the same way, but we pronounce it more as an S ending. So it's used instead of used. Used is like, for example, I used a calculator, but I used to ride horses would be used. So
what sound, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's
interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you have these consonants that are unvoiced, then it's always followed by the ed ending is a t. So it's the same with stopped. So in English, we've got 3 different sounds for the ed ending, depending on what the preceding consonant is. So you can, the standard one is d, and that will follow most consonants. But if you have these, these consonants that are unvoiced, like for example, p, or for example, s, or f, then we will always have the t ending for ed. So, but it's an interesting, so you can hear the difference. Used, because it's a s, then we need to have t as the ending, but use, so there it's a z sound, so it needs to be followed by a d sound instead of t. Yeah, it's interesting.
Sorry, you say both used and used.
Yes, exactly. Used, but they have different, but they're used in different contexts. So they are used. For example, is the sense of using something or utilizing something. Okay, used is how we say it for former habits. This particular construction of used to. So, for example, you wouldn't say. So you would always say. So you would generally say, "I used to ride horses." But you would say, I used the calculator to work out the conversion.
Exactly. Even though we spell these both words the same.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
And they even though they're spelled the same, then they're pronounced differently. So I believe those are called homonyms, I think they're called, or I need to double check the exact linguistic term for that. But so that they're the opposite of homophones, because homophones are words that are obviously written in different ways, but then they are pronounced the same way. So,
for example, no, right?
Yes, exactly. So no, and then no with a k n w, or night. That's another example. But this is the opposite, is where they're written the same way, but they're pronounced differently. Okay. So, so used to live all by himself. These sold very well. In all of them, Henry was boasting that he had found the only sensible way to live. I am for simple living, and I being alone. Let's have a look at the options. Amuse, please, satisfy, enjoy. Well, for this one, none of the others really make sense. So I amuse being alone sounds a bit weird. So something can amuse you, but that makes you laugh. So what he's talking about is liking being alone. So in that case, enjoy to be the option. He would declare in his books, you feel when you read his books that it is fine to walk around the fields, sniffing the wild grape and the green grass, and that no one can find pleasure like the man who rows and skates and swims. So row is another example where you've got, this time they're different meanings for words, but they're written the same, but they're pronounced differently. So there is row, which is another way of saying argument. So as in, and it's also spelled R-O-W. But row is obviously, it could be, in a row. You know, so you know, so on the same line, basically.
Cool.
Yeah.
Or, for example, like conduct and conduct.
Yes, exactly. It's a little bit like, although that's more stress, whereas row, row, they're different pronunciations. So row
True.
is so row is obviously got the diphthong of the oo, so it's row, and then the other one's ow, which is a row. So so they use different diphthongs, but and they're different words, but they are spelled the same. They're spelled the same. So you feel when you read his books that it is fine, blah, blah, blah. So let's have a look at the options he's got here. He makes, gives, turns, or takes. So very common. So this is a very common collocation to use with feel is make. So he makes you feel. That's the correct answer. Like the man who rows and skates and swims. 38, although, otherwise, moreover, however. So this one is, so people passing by the pond used to hear him whistling old ballads or playing very softly and beautifully on a lute, and they thought he sounded lonely and sad. However, is the one that works here. It's the one that fits here. Because moreover specifically is more like furthermore, additionally. So you're stating something that's more contrasting information. So however works better in this context. Yeah, so excellent.
Cool. As usual, lots of interesting details about the English language, and of course it's possible because you yourself a linguist, not just a native speaker or a teacher of the language. So guys, we understand that maybe you find some details not as easy, but just rewatch this video. That's why we make these videos. In the past, when I was myself studying languages, I wish to have these videos to, first of all, to hear natives, and second of all, to be able to return back what I didn't hear or didn't understand. Because usually when we listen to lecturers in classes or teachers, we are shy to ask, sorry, I didn't guess, I didn't catch or something.
Yeah, so that's for this.
So we guys ask you, if you didn't catch anything you find difficult, please write down in the comments and help each other to understand what you heard in this lesson. Looking forward, we are very happy that you study English. In my opinion, it's the most important language in the world, and there are experts, of course, who say that English is losing its position, but I think they are naive. In my opinion, English will always keep its position #1 in the world because of it's the language of science, first of all. Okay, James, see you in the next video.
Thank you very much. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye.